very, very graded and well planned, as we will see later on. We could visualize this process of a new view of reading in the following diagram, and this is what the new curricula in the UK is using, and elsewhere in other countries they are using it too. As you will see, there's nothing really new under the sun in this. Basically, in the past, they used to believe that, yes, accuracy and fluency in reading were important, but somehow the comprehension element was taken for granted, and that and positive explained for a lot of the failures that were produced. Nowadays, we have moved to what? To language comprehension explicitly, to the domain of words and comprehension. In the next slide, you will see this is called no other than the simple view of reading. There we are. The simple view of reading. We have 4 quadrants. In an ideal world, we would like all our students to be good at both language and at words, but that doesn't happen. And in many cases, many of our students, unfortunately, are in the other quadrant, that is to say, they are bad at both. Well, the good news is that there are specific strategies that can cater for those students as well, without punishing those students who are more advanced. Being very realistic and not forgetting that we are dealing with large classes, we are not encouraging personalized education. What we are saying is that by means of careful planning, we can select suitable strategies that can really help us achieve the learning outcomes that we know are best for our learners. So that was the simple view of reading. We're going to close the first part of this talk with teaching implications. There would be no point in giving you lots and lots of theoretical issues if we are not going to see how they work in class. If we accept, as we have already said, that reading is an interactive process which is composed by decoding words and comprehending language, then that means that when we teach, we need to bear in mind the following. And we have also said that reading is also helping students to construct meaning. We are insisting on what we said at the beginning. We have to provide them with opportunities for oral listening, spoken language, so that can complement the reading strategies that we're going to introduce. So basically the key words here are the skills, because that's what reading is, the purpose also, and the type of text. Let me emphasize, and please allow me to be redundant in this sense, but many times we have really well-planned lessons, interesting texts, students motivated, but we haven't asked ourselves, nor have we engaged students in the question, why is it that we have to read? The purpose, my dear colleagues, that's absolutely crucial. Why are we reading? We all know, but unfortunately we take it for granted, and we assume that our students know it. Well, they don't if they haven't been made aware of it. We obviously don't read a true or false text in the same way that we read the phone directory for specific information. So the purpose is very important. And obviously different types of texts cater for different types of purposes. Scaffolding is nothing but protecting, monitoring, assisting our students with the right strategy, with the right approach. Something that I know you do, but it's different when you're made aware of it. When you scaffold, when you assist your students, not only in reading, but in every type of teaching, to ensure that your learning outcomes are achieved, you have to plan carefully. We will never emphasize the value of planning enough. It doesn't matter how many years you've been teaching, how experienced you are, planning is vital. And once we carefully plan and we decide what texts we are going to use, what for and how, then we implement that planning into the classroom. And there is when your 3 stages become absolutely essential and they are meaningful. The pre, the while, and the post. As I said, this should happen with every skill, but it's in reading where they are even more essential. All the above should happen in a context where, regardless of what our limitations may be in terms of resources, timing, number of students, we should try and provide for constant, systematic, ongoing training of these abilities. Reading, not even in Spanish, not even in our mother tongue, is something that we learn instinctively. Reading has to be taught. Reading can and must be learned. That means that we should try and engage students in collective reading, silent reading, home reading, also assisted reading where the teacher can monitor the sounds, etc. at different levels. Provide as many opportunities as possible so students can become more proficient in the reading experience. Right, so before we go to our second section of teaching implications, I would like you to remember that there are 4 crucial concepts in this part. Besides the new definition of reading, following the simple view of the process, you have to remember 2 S's and 2 P's, that is to say, strategies, skills, practice, and purpose. So now we go to the second part of our talk, which is how we go into the classroom. What do we do with all these concepts that we have revisited and remembered? So let's go practical. If we remember, we said that reading comprehension has the decoding component and the comprehension component. Well, and if both aspects are interdependent, it means that there must be activities, strategies, techniques that I can use to bridge both, to have this transition in a smooth way. As we have said, and this will never be emphasized enough, we have to reinforce language. We said at the beginning that it has been demonstrated. The more you read, the more you speak, the more students can listen to different language, the better prepared they are going to be as potential readers. So emphasize that. And obviously it can be as simple as one word when they start in the early stages with blending, decoding words, making sense of sounds, to the more complex when words happen in a sentence, in a paragraph. High frequency words, a concept which is absolutely common when English is taught as a mother tongue, but it should be incorporated when we teach it as a foreign or second language. It's something that we do fairly instinctively when we learn Spanish or when we learn our mother tongue. Well, this is a very useful strategy. High frequency words are nothing but those words that are recurrent, either in the structures that our very young learners start incorporating, instructions in the classroom, basic greetings, or more advanced when they start reading stories or more complex types of informative texts. Many ways of doing this, for example, is to have them in flashcards around the classroom so they become visual. But that is something very important. Within a text, you have your keywords, but you will also have your high-frequency words and your high-frequency structures. Cognates. This is something which is not new because, in fact, the texts that are provided by the ministry, they emphasize the use of cognates in the reading comprehension particularly, but not exclusively. It is amazing how many times students ask for the equivalent in English of a word which is a cognate, a perfect cognate. Obviously, we also have the false ones, but later on with those. So try and make it very, very visual, very auditive also, especially with younger learners. They are not as embarrassed as older learners to be exaggerated, to be very dramatic.